everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at a few things actually for today's video. It's a bit of an eclectic mishmash of stuff. We're going to start on centering temperature. We'll have a look at ENSO region in the Pacific, see what's happening there very briefly. We'll have a look at CFS-V2 for coming month, and we'll also have a look at the charts next week to 10 days from the GFS and ECMWF models. So quite a lot going on for this video. Hope you enjoy it. Before I get on with that, just say about the ads. There's links to articles on all the pages. Have a browse through widgets and click through the links if there's any articles that you're interested in. Thanks so much for doing that. This video adds most pages, so open up the content when you watch it and close back up again. It helps to pay for gasworthvids.com. Got quite a bit of rain across England and Wales at the moment. It's showery, but it is fairly persistent and quite heavy in places. Not really much thunder though with this. It's one of those breakdowns from a warm spell that's not producing a great deal of thunder. I'll keep an eye on it, and if there's anything sparking up this afternoon into this evening, then I'll update Stormwatch. But at the moment, risk of storms looks pretty low for today. I'll keep you posted though. Right, we'll start off with the Central England temperature then from Hadley for May. This is rocketed up. This really has shot up over the past couple of days with this warm weather that set up over the weekend, of course, into the start of the week. So provisionally we stand at 12.8, which is an anomaly of 2.5 degrees above average. That really has shot up over the past 3 or 4 days. That's provisional up to the 9th. I think that's going to carry on ticking up a little bit over the next few days, because although it's going to be cooler than we've had it over the weekend, generally going to be staying quite warm, at least until around Thursday, and it's going to start to turn a bit colder from the north. But I've got a feeling this May is going to be coming out above average, and this will determine whether the spring comes out above average as well. So it's all going to hinge really on the next 2 or 3 weeks in terms of what happens with the spring. Having a quick look at what's going on in the ENSO region. So we've got these blue curves beginning to appear across the equator in the Pacific Ocean. That's the signal that we're going back to cooler temperatures in terms of the sea surface temperature. Normally it's through the Equatorial-Pacific. It isn't yet La Nina. It isn't yet a cold event. But if these continue to strengthen and get more widespread over the next 2 or 3 months, it's possible that this could be the beginning of a cold La Nina event. Interestingly, the SOI, the Southern Oscillation Index, has started trending positive. So the SOI, Southern Oscillation Index, is a index that reflects the state of the atmosphere in the southern hemisphere in the Pacific. It's the pressures registered between Darwin in Australia and Tahiti. When you have negative SOI numbers, you're seeing that the atmosphere in the southern part of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean is reflecting El Nino. So it had a lot of negative numbers over the past year as we had this very strong El Nino event. And even to the end of April, we're still getting a lot of negativity with the SOI. So for example, here on the 27th of April, minus 18, 30th of April, minus 19. These are very negative numbers still, reflecting that El Nino event. But just in the past couple of days, actually I think I've got the numbers wrong there, so let's just go back. So on the 19th of April, the numbers were, the negative SY numbers were minus 20. On the 20th of April, minus 45. 22nd of April, minus 37. Really extreme negativity. 22nd of April, minus 30. And so it's been going on over the past few months, really since this time last year. But just in the past few days, we started to get positive numbers appearing. So on the 5th of May, we went up to plus 7.6. The 6th of May to plus 10, 7th of May plus 24, and the latest on the 10th of May came out at plus 8. So it looks like we have switched into a more positive phase of the SOI. That is possibly the Southern Ocean, the atmosphere in the Southern Ocean beginning to reflect La Nina. We'll have to wait and see. This could just be a temporary blip and we'll return back to negativity. But if this is sustained over several weeks and we start getting more positive numbers appearing, so for example going up to plus 30, plus 40 in terms of these numbers, then that really will be telling us that the atmosphere is beginning to shift into a La Nina state in the southern Pacific Ocean. And when that happens, it'll hook up with the ocean temperatures, because there's a lot of cold water under the surface of the equatorial Pacific, a lot of cold water there. They'll hook up together and they'll produce a La Nina event. It's still too early to say this is a definitive shift to a cold event towards La Nina, but this could be the beginning of that happening. We'll be updating ENSO later on in the month, having a detailed look. CFS V2 for the coming month then, next looking like this. These are 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly periods. The first week will take us from the 9th through to the 15th of May. Red extrapolates high pressure, green and blue to low pressure. So for the coming week, we've got a ridge up to the north, generally to the north and northwest of the UK, trough down to the south. The flow is going a bit like that. So this is fairly reflective of what we've got at the moment, actually. We're going to start off with a fair amount of anticyclonic influences, but this area of low pressure to the south will be throwing up weather systems, and they could bring rain at times. Week 2, from the 16th through to 22nd of May, shows a trough of low pressure over Scandinavia and Central Europe, a ridge out to the west and going up towards Greenland. This one looks quite a bit cooler, with the flow probably in from the north or the northwest. Week 3, going from the 23rd through 29th of May, shows a ridge up over Greenland, so still signs of northern blocking and low pressure underneath it. This one could be quite unsettled, with the Atlantic coming through rather like that. Cool, unsettled, I think, there as going into the latter stages of May. And then finally, week 4, the 30th of May through to 5th of June. This one shows a ridge across Scandinavia and low pressure down to the southwest. I think this probably turns the winds back into the east, rather like that. And this trough down to the southwest could be providing the potential for some thundery conditions. So that's probably warmer at the very end of May, start of June, but potentially a little bit thundery as well. Temperature anomalies for the coming week look significantly warmer than average. Going to be another warm week coming up. But week 2 anomaly, though, looks a lot cooler, going down a little bit below average generally across many parts of the country. Week 3 looks near normal with those temperature anomalies, and then week 4, that one looking near normal as well, maybe hinting at being a bit above average for the north. So as we get this very warm spell out of the way, looks like temperatures for the rest of May probably trending closer to average. It is very warm with the upper air temperatures still today, despite the fact there's rain around. Here are the upper air temperatures for today from the GFS in those red, in those orange colours, I should say. But by the time you get through to the weekend, it's a lot cooler. Look at that, the green colours have plunged down with that northerly flow. So there is going to be quite a significant change in the temperatures over the next few days. Today's maximum temperatures reaching around 17 to 23 degrees, something like that, so it's a pretty warm day. By the time you get through to Saturday, we're struggling to get into double figures in the east, just 11, 12 degrees. This actually toned down a bit as well for what it's looked like we'd have a couple of days ago. It looked really cool for the time of year a couple of days ago. This is still cooler than average, but it's not quite as dramatic as what we were seeing over the weekend. So this is the GFS chart for Saturday. We've got those northerly winds coming down across the country with a ridge out to the west. This ridge should keep us mostly dry over the weekend. There could be a few showers in the east, but I think it's going to be mainly dry under this ridge, just a lot cooler. And don't rule out the risk of a little bit of ground frost as well overnight. Start of next week still under a ridge of high pressure, but the GFS still wants to break this ridge down. So as we go through to the middle of next week, the low pressure starts to move in off the Atlantic. That looks quite significant, bringing a fair amount of rain through the country. Now then the GFS keeps it unsettled through to day 10, which is Friday the 20th of May. Low pressure driving in off the Atlantic. So it's that idea that the GFS had yesterday, which is to break down this ridge and turn things unsettled as we get through into the middle and latter part of next week. The ECM was not agreeing with that yesterday. Let's see what it's doing today. We start off on Saturday with this northerly flow coming down. Should be mostly dry, but it will be a lot cooler. The chart for Sunday shows a ridge out to west, still generally in a cool north-northwesterly flow. That ridge builds over the country early next week, so Monday and Tuesday look okay. Temperatures will recover, and it's going to be mainly dry But as we go through to Wednesday and Thursday, look at this, ECM is now siding with the GFS, breaking this ridge down and starting to move low pressure in off the Atlantic. So by the time you get through to day 10, which is Friday 20th of May, we're in a westerly flow with low pressure to the northwest of Scotland and weather systems moving in across the country. So it looks like we've shifted towards an unsettled outcome for next week. We start off with a fair amount of ridging, but both the GFS and the ECM want to break that ridge down through the middle and latter stages of next week and return us to unsettled westerly winds. Still a little way off for that, so let's wait and see. But it's definitely shifted in that direction this morning. So that's how it's looking for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. A bit of a mishmash of different stuff for today's video. Tomorrow we'll do a 5-day broadcast. We'll also do Beijing Climate Centre Wednesday, BCC Wednesday. Tomorrow looking at the coming month. So come back for all the updates tomorrow. And if anything pops up with storms this afternoon, obviously, I will update Stormwatch, but at the moment there's not a great deal going on. So let's wait and see what happens with that. That's all for now then, and thanks for watching.